Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to THFE Productions. We're back covering Rome 2 Total War. So this one is going to be focusing on some information from the forums, and this was brought to you by mmurray821, so we're going to dive right into it. This is a recap of a lot of questions that have been asked. So the first question is going to be about the size of the campaign map. Here, this is from a magazine. It's not confirmed, but on the top, the overlying image is Rome 1, and the bottom one is presumably what we can see in Rome 2, so, you know, a lot more exploration. There's going to be about 168 tiles that you can conquer, as well as sea tiles, so it's going to be huge and expansive. Now, the next question asks about, are there going to be mini campaigns in the Total War game, kind of like what we saw in Napoleon, and the answer is no. They're focusing on the main campaign itself, so I think that's good. They're not spreading themselves out too thin, and they're going to make the main campaign as solid and strong as possible, and I think that's the right thing to do. However, at the end of this response, they do say they will, you know, do what people want, so that could probably take the form of expansion packs and stuff like that. Now, the next question is going to be a couple put together. So, first one, we heard that each playable faction will have their own unique tech tree based on their culture, so they want some information on that. And they say, in reality, you know, each culture will in fact have its own tech tree. They want each faction to play differently and have a different technological approach to governance, to military and all that stuff, so that's going to be cool. Next question asks about historical characters. They say yes, there will be historical characters because they think it adds a sense of reality, which is awesome. So maybe we'll see Archimedes at Syracuse, we'll see Julius Caesar, Hannibal, stuff like that. And then they also mentioned that the diplomacy will be improved, so that's going to be good. Next they asked, there are 3 families for a couple factions. What about the other factions? So it's been confirmed that the player will have a ruling family, so this is the king and his supporters versus the rest of the council. They note that Rome and Carthage also have a separate Senate party along with the families, and they say while Rome or Carthage struggle between the families of leadership to establish their monarchy, each of the factions has its own goals to maintain authority. So you'll be playing with these different factions, trying to keep control, so it's not just with your enemies but with yourself. And here they talk a bit about the multi-core programming. So this is to make your game run more efficiently, and they're doing as much as possible, obviously, to make sure that all engines will be able to run this awesome game. Now, this is going to be a big question, and it's talking about campaigns and how they move. So one of the new things they're adding is the stances that an army can take when on the campaign. So basically, from now on, as it seems, you won't have little groups of marauding units. You need a general to move. So that's one thing. And also here they say that you can have multiple ways to move your army. So one is put it in forced march mode. That allows you to go much further than usual, but upon arriving at your destination, you can't initiate a battle, although you can reinforce. And plus, if you go into battle, you lose some abilities, your morale suffers because your men are so tired. Another tactic you can put your army into is ambush stance, which allows you to obviously set up an ambush. So that's something we've seen in the past, but here they say, and it's been previously mentioned, that you can set up some things. So as we saw with the Battle of Teutoburg Forest, you may actually be able to put those big rock traps and all that stuff in additional things. Another stance is raid, which allows you to raid the local area. It diminishes how much you have to pay to upkeep those units, but at the same time, it results in public order penalties if it's in your region, or if you're raiding an ally, it'll make them angry at you. Finally, you can put your armies on fortify and your fleets on patrol. That allows you to intercept armies at a greater radius, and it also allows you to put more defensive deployables. So that's cool, you know, maybe spikes. And also what it means is the Roman encampment, you know, the famous Roman encampment that they would build after every day of March, will be making a return. So I'm really glad to see this. It'll be cool, and it'll be much more historically accurate. So we'll see with these different types of battles a greater range in the types of battles you'll be engaging in. Now the next is talking about replenishment. So this has to do a bit with attrition. So in recent games, you know, if you're walking around in the winter or in the desert, you'll lose troops just because of the environment. Also, after a battle, your troops are depleted, and they say here they're going to be continuing the effect where if you leave these troops stationary or at a supply depot, they will, you know, increase in their numbers and come back up to full strength. Now, enslaving a population, now this is awesome. This is something that we've seen in previous games, and it's making a comeback. So when you capture a settlement, you'll be able to choose between several options: occupy peacefully, loot, or raise. And you can also enslave a portion of the captives of the populace. Now, what you do with the slaves is pretty awesome. So you capture them, and then they're dispersed throughout your empire. And what's neat about this is they say that you want slaves to run your economy. And this is something they haven't really done before. They're really taking slaves as basically a key function of your empire. The more slaves you have, the more your economy is able to improve. But the disadvantage is the more slaves you have, the more likely there is to have a revolt. So you have to juggle the two and find the optimal position. Now they talk about taxes, and this fits into the general theme that they want to decrease micromanagement. So taxes are set at a faction level, so it affects all of your territories. Then what you can do is you can exempt specific territories from paying taxes, which will improve their happiness. And you can also make certain territories and cities pay more in taxes. So if you have a really rich city and they're happy, go ahead and tax them a little bit more. So basically what they're allowing you to do is manage your empire on a big scale and then tweak it smaller. So this is going to help with managing your empire a lot. Next they talk about, is plundering a town or a city automatic, or do you assign level of despoiling? And they say here you get to choose what you are able to do. So as I said earlier, you can raise a settlement, or you can occupy it and stuff like that. You can loot it. Additionally, barbarians have another thing they can do, which is called sack. So what that does is it gets a lot more resources, you get all the loot and booty, and then you move on. So what I think happens is when you sack a city, you get a lot of money and slaves, and the settlement, you don't capture it, you just leave it, but the population is diminished. Anyways, thanks so much for tuning in, guys. I'm going to be continuing my coverage of Rome 2. In the comments below, I'd like to know what your experience is with Rome. Are you a veteran, or with Total War, sorry. Are you a veteran? Have you played it before, or is this your first time getting into the game? I'd like to get a gauge of where you guys stand. Anyways, stay tuned for more videos. There's going to be a news drop according to the Twitter feed coming soon, so I'll keep in touch with that, and I'll post more videos soon. See you guys next time.